What's going on YouTube? Daxdleader here with my draft analysis for the third season of the CPL. Right now, and always actually, the CPL is my favorite draft league, period. It's just, and especially this season, I'm super excited because I got a whole bunch of my friends into this league. So almost everyone in the league I knew ahead of time. Some of them I knew from Season 2 of the CPL, which was my first ever draft league that I competed in. So there's a whole bunch of old friends from there, but then I also have all sorts of other friends that I met throughout the community, most of them who are not from last season are from this this squad server. It's pretty general. I know that's not totally specific, but whatever. You guys know who you are, and y'all are super cool. All right. So let's get into my draft right away with our franchise pick, actually, because we made playoffs last season. Oh wait, not even. Everyone got a franchise pick. For some reason, this was actually a mistake. Looking back on this, this was a mistake. We gave everyone a franchise pick. We basically said that the 4 returning coaches could franchise anything from their last season team, and then anybody else could franchise anything that wasn't on those 4 teams. So basically, everyone got a round 1 pick for free, first come, first serve. And it counted as their round 12 pick, so that was actually not the greatest idea. We probably won't do that again next season. But I decided to go with a personal favorite mon of mine, and arguably the MVP of last season in Manaphy. Ever since I've gotten into competitive Pokemon, I've always loved Manaphy. In draft league format, Manaphy's a great mon because of this glorious base 100 stat distribution all across the board. It can be a bulky water type, which is huge on any draft league team, and what makes it more viable than a lot of other bulky water types is access to this move right here, Tail Glow, which makes Manaphy an incredibly deadly wall breaker and balance breaker as well. So that was my franchise pick. I also wanted to franchise Manaphy because I have 2 other friends, Pablo, aka Tony, and Kamren, who think they're the biggest Manaphy fans. And that's cute. It's cute that they think that, but I'm gonna call it right now, my Manaphy will get more kills than the mons that they franchised this season. I am calling that now. It's gonna happen. Watch me. My Manaphy this season will be nicknamed Hardcore. There you go. Hardcore the Manaphy. This is a reference to Bubbles from Powerpuff Girls, which is a show I never actually watched. I just binged a bunch of Tara Strong lines one day, and that's where I got the inspiration for this name. Alright, before we move on with my next pick, I want to give a huge shout out to It's Turbo, coach of the Phoenix Midnights in the NPL Minors and a whole bunch of other leagues. Great YouTuber, draft league content, yeah, draft player, rather, that's what I meant. And he's the one who really helped me out with this draft plan. Super nice guy. And he also passed me the link to the music you're hearing in the background right now, so that's cool too. I talked to Turbo a lot about my draft plan this season. And as soon as I franchised Manaphy, I went to him and I said, "What should I draft around Manaphy?" And he said, considering you are 9th out of 12th, which I am, by the way. I basically have the Weavile pick. Alright? And by that, I can afford to get 2 Mons that are gonna get that will last till the end of round 1. That aren't usually like top tier picks. Like, they're by no means the best Mons in the format, but they're still great Mons, and I was confident that I could get both of them right here. So the first Mon that I picked up in round 1, this is technically my round 1 pick, is Latios. Regular Latios is a super, it's a great Mon. I love this Mon. 110 base speed, 130 special attack. That's what you're going to see it doing most of the time. Just being fast and hitting things hard. Stab Draco Meteor is just... this is probably the best Draco user in the entire game. That's not like Uber's, I guess. I think that's pretty safe to say. And the biggest reason I picked up Latios was that Turbo said to think about the things that bother Manaphy, right? And he mentioned fast, offensive, electric, and grass types. And dragons, right? Oh well, okay, the things that can hit Manaphy super effectively are fast, offensive, electric, and grass types. So, Latios here can come in on both of those and threaten them out with its stab moves. Latios is also faster than most dragons, which resist Manaphy's stab, so having a fast dragon type to check other dragons is really nice. And it's because most teams want to have a dragon type, and I think I have one of the best ones in the league. So, what else do we have here? Yeah, most steel types that want to come in on Latios are set up for Manaphy, which is really nice. And, sorry if you hear my phone going off, I'm gonna mute that right now. Okay, really sorry about that. I mentioned the thing about steel types. Latios is a ground immunity, which is always nice to have. And Latios' nickname this season is going to be Lackluster. I'm feeling kind of cocky this season, so I'm going to give the other coaches who are watching this video a little heads up. In my prep now, I'm never going to be bringing Luster Purge this season, which is why Latios is named Lackluster. So there you go. You have one less thing to prep for. I'll still beat you down though. Alright, next round pick, which is essentially my wheel pick, is Weavile. Alright, and Weavile is an awesome mod in format. It was more slept on last gen. Less so now, but it's still kinda slept on. And I think it's way better. It's a really great mod, easily a round 1 pickup. And I'm lucky enough to get it around 2. So Weavile has that base 125 speed, which I like having 2 Mons above base 110 speed. You'll see that in most of my drafts. Yeah. So we got that going for us with the Weavile. It's a Pursuit Trapper. It has Stab Pursuit and Stab Knockoff. It's a Dark type. That's why I started taking it. Dark right there. Stab Pursuit, Stab Knockoff. Super useful to have on any team. This deters bulky Psychic types like Cresselia and Reuniclus, which are just annoying for any team to deal with unless you have a great Dark type. Weavile being a Dark type itself, it forces those Mons to run extra coverage and not just mono Psychic. So they need a move to hit Weavile because it's immune to Psychic type. Some other great things about Weavile, it's a dragon check. You can, like, whatever Scarf dragons or faster dragons want to beat Latios, Weavile is even faster than that. Has stab ice moves, mainly Icicle Crash. Icicle Crash to hit those, and excellent priority in Ice Shard. So this is my first priority user on the team. And this is already an OU set right here, you guys. Slap a Choice Band on that boy. Give it this standard spread, and there you go. This is a perfectly viable Weavile in OU. And it does a very similar thing in Draft League format. So there you go. Those are my Tier 1 picks. I got them all 3 in a row. And they're each going to be Z users on my team, actually. Weavile and Latios. Hold on. Whatever, I'm not going to do that. Okay. Weavile and Latios are my offensive Z users, so they can use any Z move as an attack. And Manaphy is my Super Z user, meaning I can use any Z move on Manaphy. The most useful one being Z Rain Dance. I'm not afraid to admit that. Like, everyone knows that Z Rain Dance is the best, like, status Z move for Manaphy, boosting its speed by 1 stage, and boosting the power of its water type attacks, and activating its hydration ability. So, like, Z Rain Dance Tail Glow set is something you will see in OU. And with that Water MZ, I can still fire off, like, sorry, I had the hiccups. I can still fire off Hydro Vortexes, super, like, really strong Hydro Vortexes in the rain. Alright, I never mentioned Weavile's nickname, sorry guys. Weavile's gonna be nicknamed Vapod this season, which is, for those who don't know, which is probably most of you, Vapod is a particularly brutal style of lightsaber combat in the Star Wars universe. So there are several different kinds of lightsaber combat. Vapod is the one that's like more intense, more aggressive, and it's commonly used by the Sith. So that's our Weavile, that's our first 3 Mons. They're all Tier 1. In the CPL, you get 2 Tier 1s, 2 Tier 2s, a Tier 3, a Tier 4, or a Tier 5, and 4 free picks. I believe that adds up to 12. So I have my 2 Tier 1s right here, and then Weavile is my first free pick for, I think it was 150 points is what Tier 1s are. So with this little, with these three Mons alone, I've got like a really nice core of 3 Mons here. It's like a little trifecta, because Manaphy hates dealing with Latios. Latios hates dealing with Weavile. Weavile hates dealing with Manaphy. So if I drafted any of these 3 Mons without any of the other 3, I would have been limited in my team building. But since I have all 3, they all are excellent checks to each other, and because this is Draft League, nobody else can pick up those Mons. So you'll notice a bit of a theme with my team, in that I'll try to do that quite a bit with this draft, especially with my next pick. My first Tier 2 Mon, I went for regular Scizor. This is one of the better steel types that was left on the board. I wanted to start filling roles right here, so this is my next step to completing a Steel Dragon Fairy Core, which is super important on any draft. Scizor is a great user of U-turn. It's got nice momentum. This is already looking to be an offensive team, so I want to generate as much momentum as possible. Manaphy is another Mon that gets U-turn. Scizor is known for its Stab, Technician, Bullet Punch, super strong priority, which is something that would have given Weavile a really hard time, but no one else can draft Scizor. So there you go. I have this Mon now. When I was talking to Turbo, right? Turbo loves talking about how Bug is an underrated typing, and I agree with him. But I think that's why I'm going to name this Scizor Sparkles this season. That's my Scizor name. Shoutouts to It's Turbo. To anyone who gets it, that's cool. Did you guys get that? Yeah, that's a bit of a joke that he's got going on with people who know. So okay, I think I just gotta move on. Scizor was my tier 2 pick. Next mon I wanted to grab was my Mega. I wanted to get my Mega here, and I wanted to get a tier 2 Mega because I already spent 150 points on Weavile, so grabbing a tier 2 Mega would be free. I wouldn't have to spend extra points on that, meaning I can get better mons later on. So the Mega I ended up going with was Mega Aerodactyl right here. Mega Aerodactyl at tier 2 is pretty crazy. Matty Brawlick has called Mega Aerodactyl one of the top 5 Megas in format. So to have it at tier 2 is great for me. It's got base 150 speed, and because of that, it's a lot bulkier and a lot stronger than you might think. The reason being, against most teams, I only have to invest like a little bit of speed, say like something around here, to outspeed the entirety of my opponent's team, and then I can run an Adamant Nature, invest entirely into attack. With a base 135 attack with an Adamant Nature, that thing starts to hit hard, especially with the Tough Claws ability that boosts the power of all my contact moves, so most of my physical attacks. And then, if I don't want to invest max into attack, I can put it all into bulk, like that, and then Aerodactyl becomes way harder to kill, especially with moves like Roost to extend its longevity. Aerodactyl also has some great utility. Because it's such a fast mon, it makes a really great taunt user. It can set up rocks, it can defog, so I already have a rock setter, and I have 3 defoggers now already within just my first 5 rounds. The first 4 rounds and the franchise, actually first 4 rounds because Manifest did defog. Yeah, 3 defoggers, 4 rounds, so that's pretty cool. Aerodactyl is another mon that hates the priority that come out of mons like Weavile and Scizor, so that's something that my Arrow just won't have to deal with, which frees it up. Like I said, you're going to start noticing a theme with that. My Aerodactyl name this season is Penance from the Marvel Comics. Look it up, you'll get it. He's if you read Aerodactyl's Dex entry, you'll really understand this name. And it just shines a cool light on this mon that not a lot of people think about when they think about Mega Pokemon. This was a new thing in ORAS. I think it's either Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire Dex entry that I want you guys to check out. You'll see what I mean. I just thought this was super cool when I learned this little detail about Aerodactyl. So, moving on to my next round, I had to wait a long time between my round 4 and my round 5 pick because I'm 9th place. I had to wait a full 18 picks. But next up I decided to grab Sylveon. Sylveon was the best fairy available. Florges got taken really early, but I like Sylveon. Sylveon is stronger than Florges with base 110 special attack. It has the Pixelate ability, so it can fire off really nice and powerful Hyper Voices, which is a better move than Moonblast, because even though I think it's the same base power. Oh no, it's slightly weaker than Moonblast, but it goes through sub. That's the main thing. It goes through substitutes. So Sylveon can fire off Hyper Voices. Normally you see Sylveon with like a cleric set, being this Heal Bell, Wish, Protect, Hyper Voice. Those moves is your standard Sylveon, and they usually run physically defensive, or it's got a really high stat stat too. But normally they run physically defensive just because by being a fairy type, Sylveon naturally checks a lot of physical attackers. But I'm not afraid to use Sylveon offensively this season. That's something I want to make clear. What I'm allowed to do in the CPL is use Baton Pass as long as I'm not passing speed with another stat. I can Baton Pass just to gain momentum, so that's really nice with stuff like Scizor and Manaphy. I can gain even more momentum for my team, or I can pass boosts like Calm Minds. And already you see I got 2 other special attackers, Latios and Manaphy, which really appreciate Calm Mind boosts. They both get Calm Mind themselves, but you'll see there's other Mons on my team which appreciate Calm Mind boosts as well. So I can pass those with Sylveon. Sylveon, great fairy, great cleric, and completes my Steel Dragon Fairy Core with Scizor, Latios, and Sylveon. So that's already round 5, Steel Dragon Fairy Core out of the way. That's awesome. My Sylveon nickname this season is Vileplume. This is a Kill la Kill reference, mostly inspired by Aster, who's also in this league actually. And yeah, he called his Sylveon Nui in the GBA. So, and I was finishing Kill la Kill right around the time when he started bringing that to a lot of games. So there you go. We got Vileplume. I thought that was a cool quote. And that's my Sylveon. Next round pick, I went with Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen is in tier 3, guys. Scizor and Sylveon were my tier 2 picks. Nidoqueen is tier 3, and that's a steal in my opinion. Because Nidoqueen is such a diverse mon. Nidoqueen is another reliable stealth rocker, so it takes a little bit of pressure off Aerodactyl. I tried to type in reliable there, I meant to type in rocks. Stealth rock. There you go. Also gets toxic spikes. Also gets sheer force, so not only can it be run defensively with great 90, 87, 85 bulk, that's awesome. A great defensive typing and ground poisoning. Nice utility with either hazard, and then a ton of coverage. Ice Beam, Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, with the sheer force ability, this thing can... It's a tank. Nidoqueen is one of the best tanks in the game. It will take a hit and then dish back a super strong hit in return. So that's what Nidoqueen does, really. Another great thing about its defensive typing is that it's immune to electric, so it's my first electric immunity, and I was developing a bit of an electric weakness. I had Manaphy and Aerodactyl, which are weak to electric. Latios is a pretty bulky mon actually, but I'll be running it offensive most of the time. It does resist electric, but I really wanted a ground immunity, and a solid ground immunity that wasn't 4 times weak to ice. Because a lot of electric types like to run that super, that bolt beam coverage, you know? So, yeah, Nidoqueen's a great electric check, and it's a grounded poison type, so I can absorb toxic spikes from my opponents without having to waste a turn clicking defog. So, just by Nidoqueen's typing alone, that helps me a ton. Nidoqueen's nickname this season is Reina. Reina is queen in Spanish. I've gone through a lot of Nidoqueen nicknames. They're all kind of basic. I was thinking Liz. I used to call my Nidoqueens that, but I like Reina. It sounds more regal than some of those other names I had in mind. I think the first time I heard of this name was in Percy Jackson, the Heroes of Olympus books. You know those? That's where I think I got this, but it's spelled differently, so I wanted to go with this spelling. I don't know. Yeah, Nidoqueen's a super useful mon. I'm really glad I have it and I don't have to deal with it from somebody else. Okay. My next round, this was my round 7 pick. Again, I had to wait and a full 18 picks. So now we're really starting to run out of stuff on the board. And what I decided to pick up next is Rotom. Rotom Ghost, actually. So I'm gonna tell you guys something. I helped out a lot with the tiering for this season. I contributed a lot to, like, where I worked on the doc a lot, so I created a whole bunch of polls asking people what tier I think certain mons should be in, and I really thought Rotom is a tier 4 caliber mon, but the majority voted to keep it in tier 5, so I thought to myself, hey, you guys, if you want to put it in tier 5, go ahead, I'm just gonna pick it up, because I think this is the best mon in the tier. I really think this is straight up the best mon in the tier. Or I did at the time, but then you'll see when I get to my week 4 battle, I was grossly mistaken. But at the time, I thought Rotom was the best mon in tier 5. So I wanted to grab that, and it actually serves a lot of purposes for my team. It's another defogger. It's my 4th defogger, which is great. It's my 3rd ground immunity, I think. It's my 2nd levitating mon, and plus arrow. That makes it my 3rd ground immunity. Just check my notes real quick. It's got a really nice speed tier of 90, which closes that gap between, I think it was, at this point, Nidoqueen and Manaphy. Yeah, that's a big gap, so that 90 speed really helps patch that up. It's got Volt Switch to gain some even more momentum for my team, and it's a Ghost type. So with the Hazard Stack type of build that I was starting to get here with T-Space and Stealth Rock from Nidoqueen, I wanted a nice spin blocker. And I think that's about it for Rotom. My nickname for Rotom this season, got a deck so big might talk to ya. Next gen bars on Ultra, I just loved you guys. Next up, I wanted to pick up Vileplume. Now, even though this team is shaped up to be more of an offensive build, which I like a lot, I'm an offense player above all else, really, I think it's super important to have a bulky grass type on your team, and Vileplume was the best bulky grass type in tier 4, and I needed tier 4, so this is just a cool mon. I've never really used it or seen it used, but hey, Gypsy drafted it, so I'm gonna trust Gypsy Senpai on this one. We've got Vileplume's got some good bulk. 75, 85, 90. That's nothing to sleep on. Get it? Sleep. It's got Sleep Powder. It's got a whole bunch of other status moves. Toxic, obviously. Toxic never misses from this mon. And Stun Spore, so it gets like triple status. Great Disruptor mon. It gets Aromatherapy, so it takes off some cleric pressure from Sylveon. Gets reliable recovery in Moonlight or Synthesis. But the recovery move you're going to see me using most often, actually, is Strength Sap. That's, I think Strength Sap is Vileplume's best recovery move. It heals. This is a new thing it got in Ultra Sun and Moon from tutors. User heals HP equivalent to the target's attack stat and then lowers the attack stat by 1. This is such a good move. It allows me to check basically any physical attacker and just repeatedly click this move, and then just doing less and less damage to me. And I can just sit in front of them, recover health, and then just disrupt the opponent's team with status, or I can heal my own team, stuff like that. It's an alternative grounded poison type, so if I want to absorb T-Spikes and Nidoqueen doesn't have great matchup, I can bring Vileplume instead, which is really nice. Our Vileplume's nickname is Vileplume, one of the old classic great Montreal Canadians. Everyone in Montreal knows who this guy is, and I think I pulled up a stat right before I started recording. He scored 50 goals in 6 seasons, I think, and he was the first person to do that. This was sometime between 1971 and 1990. So yeah, Vileplume is kind of like one of those old rock stars of hockey, and I'm hoping Vileplume achieves that status for my team. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. Next round, I want to start filling out my free picks, and I grabbed something that I did not expect to last this long. I'm so glad it lasted this long. We got Azelf. This is my 3rd Stealth Rocker, so it takes some pressure off Aerodactyl and Nidoqueen, which, that's great. It's a really good Stealth Rocket too. At 115 speed, you commonly see this thing as a suicide lead in UU and even OU with Taunt and Stealth Rock. I can run something like Explosion. It's got a lot of great suicide lead options, but also a lot of good coverage. If you just look down this list, I see Fire Blast, Ice Punch, Knockoff. That's nasty plot. It gets Knockoff though, and just a whole bunch of other coverage options with a really high speed and special attack stat. Another ground immunity, which is nice. This thing forms a nice Psychic Spam core with Latios. Psychic is a pretty good offensive typing, and between Latios and Azelf, it really pressures the mons that want to switch into them because their switch-ins are pretty similar. It's another U-turn user, that's right. I got more momentum on my team with U-turn. And that's what I got for Azelf really. The speed tier is super important because it patches up that gap I had between Latios and Weavile. So instead of 15 points, it's now just 10 points, which is yeah, that's a lot better. Our Azelf nickname this season is Solano. All she wanted to do, like her one wish, was that she could fly away, and with the levitate ability, she can do that. Shoutouts if you get it. That's all. Okay. Next up, another mon that I didn't really think would last this long. This is the 2nd to last round. So, my free picks, I had Weavile, and Azelf, so a tier 1 and a tier 2. So all I could afford was a tier 4 and a tier 5. So I was looking at the best mons in tier 4, and I decided to pick up Hitmonlee after a little bit of coaxing by Aster. I don't know if that was actually in my best interest now. Like, looking back at it. When I play him week 4, you'll see what I mean. He might have snaked me on this one, but I still like this mon. You'll see I'm using it in the PUL as well. With the Unburden ability, it can go super fast. With great sets like Fake Out, Normal Gem. I don't know how often I'll bring that. I've never actually used it, but this is the standard way that Hitmonlee boosts its speed stat. But for the most part, I picked this thing out because of the fighting type, and I really like fighting types in Draft League format. A lot of people don't think they're super necessary, but I really like the ability to have a stab move to hit really fat, dark, and normal types like Umbreon, Chansey, Miltank, Snorlax, Blissey, and the like. Those mons just annoy me to all hell. So I wanted a nice stab close combat from a 120 attack mon to hit those and just have them be so much less of a threat. 87 speed kinda plugs up the speed gap between Nidoqueen and Rotom. Just, it takes off 3, but anyway, it's like, I wanted something in that range. So that's almost everything there is to say about Hitmonlee, except that I've got a Rapid Spinner now. And like I said, with the addition of a Ghost type and 2 forms of Hazards, I really like having a Rapid Spinner so I can get Hazards off my own side of the field and keep them up on the other side. So Hitmonlee is just a great addition to any offensive Draft League team, and I recommend you guys pick that up for yourselves one day. Our Hitmonlee nickname this season is Hitmonlee, because you already know that it's got them kicks, right? It's got those nice stretchy legs. That's a D Gray Man reference, and if you know what I'm actually talking about here, it means you probably go to my school, which, like, how'd you find this channel? That's a little weird. This whole thing's a little weird. Alright, we're moving on. Last pick, one of the last picks overall, I'm looking at, like, whatever's left in Tier 5, and somehow, I'm not too surprised, there's a lot of mons in Tier 5, but one of the best ones, like, overall, was Pyroar, and so I picked that up. This is a nice base 106 mon that closes the gap between Manaphy and Latios. It's only a 10 speed gap, but there's a lot of things that are like 101, 105 type of thing. So Pyroar has, I really like Pyroar's speed tier in Draft League format. It's a fire type, so I'm finally done my Fire, Water, Grass core. Yeah, not much else to say. It's a really strong special attacker. Fire is a great offensive stab. It also has normal type attacks. It's actually a pretty good offensive typing when you think about it, because you've got your Hyper Voice is your main stab attack, and then if a Steel type comes in to resist that, you've got your Fire Blast. There you go. So yeah, it's a Tier 5. It's gonna be a one-dimensional mon, right? But I wanted a fire type and I wanted the speed. So yeah, our Pyroar is gonna be Klaus von Reinherz, Klaus von Reinherz of the Blood Blockade Battlefront is here to protect the innocent in this cruel and chaotic world of monsters and men. I just wrote that up in my notes. I thought that was dumb. Whatever. All right. This is. I'm tired. This has gotten into. This has devolved into quite the mess. But I hope you guys appreciate my draft. And if you're in my league, I hope you're scared. I hope you pissed your pants. Oh God, what is happening? Yeah, there you go. This is your Montreal Canadienses. I am Daxdleader. I will see you with my Week 1 battle very soon. Very soon. I already recorded it, actually. But there you go. Yeah, I got nothing else to say, you guys. I'm gonna end it at like even 40 minutes, pretty much. This is a long video. I'm done. Alright, I gotta stop. Later.